So today I'm going to show you how to make these hanging shelves. So what we're going to use, it's a straight edge jig. It's dead simple to make these. There's plenty of videos online, so just go and check it out. All you need to do is just get some plywood that would have a manufacturer's edge that would be straight. So that one will be running across along the fence. And the next thing, we need a piece of pallet wood, and we're just going to clamp it in place, and then we can create like a joint edge on a table saw for it, so two pieces would join perfectly together. Now you're going to want to adjust the table saw that the height obviously wouldn't be too high or too low for it, so I just bring it in a little bit closer and I start raising my blade. Whenever I'm joining the pallet wood, I always try and shim just take a tiny bit of material off to ensure that I've got the most width as I can. So I align it just to kind of take off a tiny shaving with the table saw off the edge. I'm going to align that and just cut off the straight edge, and it should be perfectly straight edge. So I've just trimmed these two boards. As we can see, the edges joined, and basically now we can just pop them together and they align perfectly without a gap. We're just going to repeat the process for the rest of the boards so they would all be ready for the glue up. Now after joining all of the boards, we can see they all got a nice and smooth edge, so they're ready to be put together. What I like to do is to choose the narrowest one with the widest one to pair them up to try and maintain the same kind of width for all of them. So I normally just grab them, see that they go together okay, and as we can see they do go without any gaps, very nice and smooth. So I normally just pair them up into twos and then they're all ready for a glue up. I'm not really bothered about the thickness of them if they don't match. As we can see over here, I've got a really thick one and the rest of them, there's nothing similar like it. I'm going to run them all through the thickness there anyway, so it's just going to even out. As you can see, I've got a tarpaulin to protect my worktop, and simply just going to glue them up, clamp them up and leave them overnight for tomorrow. And then we can go further and then run it through the planer, cut them to length, apply stain, and then the finish. I'm never really shy with the glue, because unless like it's a very delicate piece, obviously I don't want too much squeeze out, but for this type of thing I want a strong connection and I don't worry about squeeze out the glue or the actual like running them down like that on the side. I don't find it a problem because I'll just run this through a planer, so it's totally fine.
One eternity later.
So as the glue is all set and dry, I'm going to trim the width of them, run them through the thicknesser, and also cut them to length. Don't worry if you don't have a thicknesser, you could just sand them down. Now, after we have it all cut and nicely sanded edges, we're going to rub it with coffee. Well, actually stain it with coffee. I find that using coffee with very fine coffee grounds, like people using espresso machines, works the best, because I've seen a lot of videos online how people do it, and it stains okay without the grounds, but it would need a lot more layers. So as I'm doing it with the coffee grounds inside of it, rather than just the filtered coffee, it stains a lot better. So all I need is just 2 coats of coffee stains, and it stays quite dark. Otherwise, if you don't have the coffee grounds within the mixture, then I'd say it probably takes 4 layers to acquire the same darkness of it. And now we're going to leave them to dry. It normally takes, I'd say, 2 hours or so. At the moment, they are looking like this. They've got a little bit of colour, but not too much. But the second coat, it opens up all of the colour. So we're going to leave it to dry. Sun's coming out. I'm going to bring them out in the garden, and it should be a lot quicker. So, after 2 coats of coffee, this is what we have. It does look weird now, but what we're going to do, we're going to give it a slight brush, and afterwards we're not going to worry too much how it looks, because the oil will smooth it all out. But you can see the way it brought out all of the grain and the patterns and all the knots. It looks beautiful already. But then the oil will make it pop. So what we're going to do next is we're going to drill some holes in all 4 corners so we can put the string through and hang them up. Obviously before putting the string through, we're going to apply the oil finish, let it dry, preferably overnight or until there's no smell left, and then they're all done and ready. So what I usually do, I make myself a little template on a scrap piece of wood. So this is just an offcut from one of those. So the width is actually perfectly fine. And we're going to place this at 1 inch off both of the edges. So using my little template, I'm just going to start drilling holes in them. Try and do it as neatly as you can. So, as we can see, this one is a little bit narrower rather than throughout the whole length, so I'm just going to use one of the corners. So, we're going to oil the shelves. I'm using this boiled linseed oil. I'll leave the link in the description below. I've got 2 of these 5 litre bottles for a really decent price, so you can check it out. I've got it just in a smaller old Danish oil pot, and we're just going to generously apply the oil throughout all of the shelves. So at the beginning I like to just rub it in to make sure it gets everywhere, because the coffee grounds, they have their own oil, so the liquid, any type of liquid, doesn't always get to it straight away. And afterwards I want to make sure that I go with the grain, not to leave any patches of the oil and the little bits of the coffee. What is important now to handle them carefully because of the previous coffee and the oil, you can really easily see the fingerprints. So I normally just hold them up on the edges and leave them to dry. All that's left now is just to string them up and then they're ready to hang. What I like to use is a 6-ply jute twine. It's very strong, biodegradable, natural material, so the string from this works perfectly with the colour of the shells and the way they look in my eyes. So all I have is just a piece of wire folded in half to make a loop to help me put the string through the holes. So as you can see now it's all strung up. At the bottom, that's how it's going to look. You're going to have two lines going there. So basically the string can still move and you can wiggle it to make it straight. There's just one knot throughout the whole thing. And then from the top, whenever you're hanging next to the wall, you just wiggle the string and then you can easily put it straight. So this is how I make these simple hanging shelves. If you liked the video, please hit that like button, and if you have any comments, just leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.